Good morning, good noon, good evening, wherever time place you listen to us from, straight from the 909. We got a special guest in the building, Personal, and myself, Nesquick, and together, that's Hip Hop. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. Today, we're fellowshipping with a legend. Hailing from the IE, Personal has carved out a distinctive niche with a style that's both introspective and resonant. His breakout full-length Sinner Child just showcases a reflective, emotionally rich hip-hop approach, tales of vulnerability, self-discovery, and personal growth, yet against atmospheric, soulful production, Personal embodies the Inland Empire's DIY ethos. Operating outside major label structures, he retains control of his narrative and output. In a region often overshadowed in California's hip-hop, he stands as a voice of the IE scene, championing stories through heartfelt, authentic music. His success as an independent artist is a viable blueprint for aspiring IE rappers, promoting his own ownership, creativity, and emotionally honest. He has continued work in exploration of themes like mental health, identity, and self-worth, further cementing his presence as an IE artist who elevated regional hip-hop via personal, soulful storytelling. Personal brings a sincere, introspective heartbeat to the IE hip-hop landscape, melding emotional vulnerability with moody production and indie authenticity. He can make club bangers. He could go like, he can make you like just vibe, you know, with the soulful stuff. And his legacy is anchored in the empowerment of regional artistry, championing personal narratives, DIY ethos, paving the way for the new wave of the Inland Empire voices, from the IE's coldest to the inner child, the host of hosts. Welcome to the show, MC Personal. It is a pleasure to have you on today, G.
Thank you so much, man. Honestly, and I commended you for your intro that you gave Diesel and Tangent, man. And that intro got me a little emotional, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hold on, am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Just making sure.
Yeah, so like I was telling you earlier, you know, you were a host of yourself, giving like major props the way you introduce, you know, people who come up on the show and on the stage. And like, I remember you gave me a crazy intro. You didn't even know me. I was like, how does this fool hype me up this much? And it's like my first time coming on the stage ever. So like, that's the way we met, you know, which is crazy.
Oh, that is the way that we met, huh? Yeah.
We met through the Limelight, which is an event that Personal is like hosting. Yeah. And, you know, he's keeping everybody entertained while at the same time, like, you know, bringing up guests and making sure everything's going all right, making sure everything's running. Can you talk a little bit about the Limelight and just like what that meant to you? Like, what was that experience like doing that? And what made it so meaningful, you think?
Well, the way that it all started, this is a story all about how. No. So back in, I want to say 2019, 2020, it's during COVID. And at the time, because I had been writing and recording music since about 2015. But I hadn't performed yet. I was still primarily in the studio. I hadn't made connections in the Inland Empire, so I went on Instagram one day and just added a bunch of people that I never even knew that are now people that I respect and respect me, which is cool. You know, I was randomly adding different rappers that had IE in their bio, and I added everyone to a group chat. And still to this day, I don't know if people remember, like there's like 3 group chats that people still to this day are like bouncing music to, asking for collaborations, hooking people up with events. And like I started those group chats. So I was like, hey, cool, you guys are still using it. That's cool. That's lit. But that's how I had met Diesel. And I met him in person for the first time at an event called Pomona Loud that was still run by Il Cruz. I love her to death. She's amazing. But I met Diesel there. And it was the start of a beautiful just friendship. You know, outside of the music, he became like my big bro. And he was also my mentor in the music scene. And he was doing events eventually with a third party that we will not name. But during the course of him running those events, I showed up to the event and I was going for the open mic portion, mainly because I wanted to get booked on the actual ballot and or the marquee, whatever. And showed up early, helped them set everything up, stayed for my performance, stayed for the entirety of the event, and then stayed after to help them break everything down. And I did that about 2 or 3 times. And then eventually he was like, hey, you know what? We need a host for these events. Do you want to start hosting? And that's how I got my foot in the door with hosting. And when things, unfortunately didn't work out with that third-party entity, Diesel and I took some time away. And we had always kind of teased about the idea of starting something different, but starting something that was rid of greed. Again, not going to mention the third party, but greed got involved. So fast forward about a couple years later, I had gone over to his house. We were recording a couple tracks of his that he wanted me to feature on. And during that time, I was trying to think of a play on words that included Diesel and personal. So we came up with Dapper Up, because the original idea with Dapper Up was D ampersand P capital and then PER up. And it was supposed to be like Diesel and personal, but Dapper Up. So, that was kind of the play on words.
That's crazy.
The thought process at the time. And after that, we, got the venue that I had set my eyes on. We started the Limelight. And, I tend to be a little too tunnel visioned.
Yeah.
And Diesel's really good about bringing me back to planet Earth, right? Like I, get so far with my ideas and I'm like, okay, I want to do this and I want to be able to do that. And I want to, and I want to be able to like, I want to make sure we can get like this kind of merch and do this. And he's the one that's like, okay, one step at a time. And remember that we're doing this for the love of the community, that we're giving a platform to those who don't have it. So it would kind of like reel me back in and be like, oh, you're right. We're doing this for the love. And, he would always tell me, keep your goals high and always dream for the best of the best, but remember why you're doing it. And
that's crazy. That's a crazy foundation just from the get. Like, this is like the foundation of you guys and the reasons why you guys are even doing this in the first place.
Yeah.
That's commendable, man. That's really sick, because especially here, we don't have many platforms like that. There's few in between, but very few, if anything, to do that or perform that at. Like, I think it's dope. And for those who don't know, we have clips from the event on our YouTube page, like on the very top of our channel. So you could see, for example, of like what it was like there was vibes, and I'm happy that we were able to capture that, like lightning in a bottle of that night and everybody's story. I thought that was just cool to kind of dive into everybody's own personal story, why they were there.
Exactly. Cool. Well, and I'm glad that you brought up the type of introductions that I would give, and you said how even I had made you feel special, even though that was my first night meeting you. Because that stems from Diesel and I both as artists, and I feel like about 90% of the Inland Empire artists can feel this way, that we've been at events where maybe we weren't recognized how we thought we should have been, or we were brought up just in very nonchalant ways. And there are so many of us, not even just me, but within the artists that I know, there's so much talent, and there's a lot of such talent, raw emotional vulnerability between all of these individuals. So when I would go out to events, not even just for myself, but I would watch my peers get introduced, and I'm like, hey, no disrespect, but fuck you, give this man or give this woman the introduction they fucking deserve. So I told myself, whenever I host, to be able to bring out the best of the artist, I'm going to introduce the best of the artists and really make them feel special and connected to our stage, so that when they step on that, they're like, oh shit, okay, they already gave the bar that I'm supposed to meet.
It gives you a little bit of a boost.
Exactly.
Right from the get-go,
Yeah, so that's why I would always try to make it a point that no matter if I know you, if I don't know you, how long I've known you, maybe, outside of the music, maybe we don't even really get along, but I'm still going to make you feel special if you're on our marquee. Because at the end of the day, it's about the camaraderie amongst the music scene.
Yeah. So important. And I think that there's a lot of cities out here, like not even in California, a lot of cities that are lacking that, you know, and I'm happy that we're seeing a trend now that's like kind of like crawling out of that.
Yeah.
And we're all kind of trying to build this community, trying to build something here. I think that's really important. Do you feel that? Do you feel like there's a sense of like a trend of like people like trying to make something, make it more like meaningful out here? Do you sense that?
Well, I will say amongst amongst the circles that used to run, like Diesel was in Uproar. You have Cam Archer, who what is their group name? Only Empire, Empire Now, I believe,
Empire,
or
Empire Now, I think.
Yeah,
it?
or Only Empire, something along those lines. OEM, Only Empire Now. Yeah, Only Empire Now. You had Noah James with the what was his movement that because that was way before my time. Common Ground. Yeah, but he was running, he was doing the Break to Your Face. He was doing competitions. You had artists like C4 that was doing Battle for the Bag. So I feel like the foundations have always been there. But when you have a narrative of being in a music scene where it's kind of like everyone looks out for themselves, kind of dog eat dog, and you have a centralized movement trying to break that mold, it requires everyone to buy in. And the artists were buying in, but you need the viewers to buy in. You need the fans to buy in. You need vendors and local businesses to buy into this mantra for the ability to share the wealth, so to speak. Because, you go out to like venues in LA, you go out to venues in OC, or even venues in the Bay Area. Once a venue has an event, they kind of want to keep that event there because that's what makes them their money. But how are you going to branch as an artist if you have only so few events that are saying, oh yeah, we'll take you here, we'll take you here, we'll take you here, because the venue wants to make sure that they keep making their money, but it's always going to be the same people going to those venues. And as an artist, you need to be able to branch out if we're talking about an in-person performance. Yeah. And like, let's say different venues are like, oh, well, we see what you guys are doing, but like, we're not interested, versus what I'm seeing now in the Inland Empire, a lot of different business types saying, oh, we see the success that you've had. Come do it here too. Like, come showcase your talent, even if it's just an open mic, or even if it's just this type of music, but we want to have, rock bands. We want to have hip hop artists. We want to have jazz. We want to have classics, that sort of thing. The Inland Empire as a whole, not just the artists, but all of the machine parts that move to keep this working are kind of buying in to the ideology. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to witness.
Dude, that's so cool. The way you said that, yeah, I totally see that. But like to hear it, how you're saying, like it hits. Yeah, you're right. I definitely do see that. That's the difference. It's not just the artist anymore. It's like everybody starting to buy into it, which is cool. We're speaking with Personal, everybody. If you guys don't know, this dude can spit. He can rip. Like, if you get caught slipping out here trying to enter a competition and thinking, nah, I'm gonna rip this guy to shreds. Like, nah, you better check yourself real quick. Cause I've heard Personal live. I've heard him in recordings, and this dude, it don't matter, dude. You could perform these tracks with ease. It almost feels like in your performances, you double time and doing all kinds of crazy speaking Spanish, dude.
Yo quiero.
Don't get caught slipping.
Well, no, see, and that's why just on a me level, it's been. I'm not gonna lie, and I have to thank the community for this, because there were so many artists that I was looking up to when I was, 21, 22, 23 years old. And I'm 28 now, and don't get me wrong, I'm not at the level that I want to be at, and that's no one's fault but my own. We were touching on this before we started the interview, but I'm not big on social media as I should be. I'm not constantly posting. I'm not out doing photo shoots like I used to. I haven't had plans for music videos, and that's just because of everything that I have on my plate right now, that I'm kind of waiting for something to fall off from all of those responsibilities, so I could say, okay, I got a little more time to dedicate here. But with that being the case, I do feel respected among the people that I used to look up to. And don't get me wrong, like, I still look up to them. It's not like that's changed, but it's almost been a difference in dynamic, because now it's not, oh, here's the newcomer, here's the white boy coming in and da 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 da. Now it's like, oh shit, that's personal. What's up, personal? Blah 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 blah. And I'm chopping it up with people like Cam Archer, Sonny Babel, Diesel, Tangent, Noah James, 60 East. I've been able to have conversations with him. People that are just so influential in the Inland Empire, and to be looked at as an equal is such a humbling and honestly joyful feeling.
Yeah, because all these guys are, they got a good base as far as people who, like, they're connected very well with the community, like all those people you just mentioned.
Well, and that's true, but it's not even so much about the connections, is the amount of musical talent.
Yeah.
So to be looked at as an equal by them just on a talent basis alone, like, that's what I worked so hard to reach. When I was first starting out, I wasn't that good, I'll be upfront, but I worked day in and day out and day in and day out, and taught myself how to mix and master, learned different styles of poetry to implement into the music, and find, okay, I would teach myself the double and triple time, flow sets, teaching myself how to do flow switches in the middle of a song, and learning how to play with my voice for different cadences and different vibes in the music. And so when I finally got to that point where it's like, oh shit, okay, they're recognizing me as an equal, it's like, okay, all that work paid off. like I don't feel like I'm trying to catch up to these guys anymore. Like, I feel like I'm up, with the best of them. And don't get me wrong, the best of the best will still kick my ass on a track. And I say that like artists like Mercutio X, who we were just talking about, that's so unorthodox and just so original. I'm not touching that. You have artists like Cam Archer. I got him on a song, and it's not released yet, but I still got to make a couple of tweaks to it. But it's called Monster I Became. And like, I was so hyped on my part, and then Cam sent me his verse back in like 30 minutes after him listening to it, and boom, and he just went off with the most intricate rhyme pattern. And I was like, bitch, I'm like, fuck, like, but they look at me as an equal. And again, that brings so much validation that I'm just like, okay, thank you so much, because I've worked my ass off for this,
Yeah.
So,
well, it's nice to see that finally pay off, man, because you could definitely tell, like, you've been putting in a lot of work. The music, speaks for itself. Like, if I listen to your albums, dude, it's very complete. Like, the messaging is in there, it's cohesive. It sounds like just like you were able to convey the ideas that you wanted to convey out.
Yeah.
Lyrically it's there, but then also like vibe wise it's there.
Yeah.
So, it's cool to see that you finally now are like in that circle of like of some of the best, you know, to do it out here. Can you take me back to like that moment that you did like realize like this is what you wanted to do? We talked about it a little bit because you mentioned that you had played instruments and stuff. Yeah. And then you kind of found your way and you found this genre of hip hop and like got into that. So like, I don't know if you could just kind of go and take us there.
Yeah, of course.
Of that moment for you.
Yeah. So, I've been in performing arts since I was a kid. When I was little, I actually primarily wanted to be an actor. So, my mom had allowed me to do some like modeling opportunities, get headshots done. At the time, my dad was also heavily into photography and learning how to edit. So he was doing a lot of my photo shoots and a lot of that stuff. And then around 7th or 8th grade, because I also loved music so much that I wanted to learn how to play it. So I picked up a guitar, and I grew up on, 70s and 80s thrash metal, heavy metal, which translated into, post-hardcore of the 2000s and 2010s, like the bands like Asking Alexandria, Black Veil Brides, Of Mice and Men, all those types. And I was actually, for a very brief moment in time, a group of us from middle school were trying to start a band, and I was the lead singer and screamer of the band. But I could
totally picture that, dude.
Yeah. No, well, it's funny. You should see, like, I had the long black hair. Right. I had the dude. I was all like scened out, not scene, more like goth / emo. But it still didn't really quite feel like me. Like, I was like, okay, like, I'm putting on this image because, the music type that I'm trying to get into, but it didn't feel authentic to me. And then I discovered hip hop. Not that I didn't know what it was because I had heard songs, but it had never really grabbed my attention just because of the type of music, my dad was listening to, and I wanted to be like my dad. So I was listening to all the heavy metal stuff. But I heard Rap God by Eminem. I was like, wait, what's this? And this was back in like 2014, 2015. No, it had to have been 2014 because I was a junior at the time. And I learned it word for word. And I would go to school and I'd be like, hey guys, look, I can make myself sound like Eminem. And they would put on the song and I would rap it word for word. And there was one kid, and I talked about this on the Empire podcast, a podcast interview too, that I can't remember his name at all. But he was like, hey dude, you have a dope voice. Why don't you try making your own music? And I was like, nah, I can't do that. I wouldn't be able to, like, nah. But I sat down and I wrote my first song, and I fell in love with hip hop. And the reason that I fell in love with it is because, and I've talked about this in multiple interviews, my favorite thing about hip hop is that I feel it is the only genre, in my opinion, my humble opinion, that encompasses all emotions on the emotional spectrum. There's something for everyone. And that's what I try to encompass in my own projects, that okay, I have something for people who are sad, depressed, possibly having suicidal thoughts. I have songs for people going through breakups. I have songs for people finding new love. I have songs for people that are focused on their money and trying to get on their business. I have songs for people who feel counted out and have something to prove. Like, I have everything, because hip hop is the only genre that can take all of those emotions and sublet it into one genre. And yeah, that's honestly once I.
So was this like this was then your introduction to Eminem, was through Rap God?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
But then from Rap God, I went through the Marshall Mathers LP1, Marshall Mathers LP2, Relapse, Recovery, Curtain Call. From Eminem, I also discovered Kendrick, Tech Nine, J. Cole, Hobson. Like all these
guys that are
lyrical, exactly. Yeah. Like, I wasn't a huge fan at the time of like the Tygas, Drakes, and then over time, once I started getting more involved in hip hop and the culture of it, I had to appreciate those too, because it's all elements of this genre.
Yeah.
And then, I got into making club songs myself, and I was like, okay, I could see why they make this, because it's just so fucking fun and it's light, and it's like, okay, fuck whatever bullshit I'm dealing with. Let's just have a good fucking time. You know what I mean? So,
speaking of, you're looking at one of your most recent projects, Personality.
Yeah.
Which is a dope play already, just on your moniker. Like, that's a dope play. Starting off big, strong right here. Big Chain.
Yeah.
Like that track, for those who are wondering, you got to listen to it after this. Big Chain. It's a crazy vibe out. Hype track that's like just going ham. I just highlighted some little lines in there that I liked. I was like, tell my family I got it. Like, stuff like that is like, it's dope. Like, let me put everybody on my back.
Yeah.
Like, I got this. Like, that's that bravado. Like, stuff like that is ill to me. You said something else like been on Big Rambo, pop another bottle. Like, this is you just like popping out, basically.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and so the concept behind Big Chain too, because I got my little chain that I wear. It's cool. It's a cool little chain. It's not like it's no like $20,000-$30,000 chain, but the essence of the song Big Chain, like it sounds like I'm bragging, and I've touched base on this in a couple of interviews too. So for anyone who's watching that thinks that me as a person that I'm braggadocious, I'm the furthest thing from it. I am my worst critic. It doesn't matter how good I'm doing in life. I still feel like, okay, I'm still not there. I'm still not there. I'm not where I want to be. How can I take this to the next level? And I'm never happy. I'm never satisfied, which is a gift and a curse in of itself. But back to Big Chain, a lot of the verbiage that I'm using is me speaking to the universe of where I want to get to. I want to be able to tell my whole family, regardless if it's my mom, my dad, extended family, if I have a wife at the time, kids, no one has to worry. I'm taking care of everybody. And that includes people that I call family, like my best friend, Lawrence, Diesel, Tangent. Like, oh, they ever need something, I got it. Don't worry about it. I got it. It's speaking to the universe, the level of financial wellness that I want to be at. So it's not so much me trying to brag about where I'm at. It's like, no, this is where I envision myself.
Yeah. Who else did that? I think T.I. did something like that. Before he even made it, he would talk about being like in a Maybach or something.
Yeah.
Something like before, he even had it.
Well, because, I'm glad that you said that, because a lot of the artists that do have those like braggadocious type tracks, they say you have to be able to see yourself in this position. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to talk like you had it before you even have it. Because are you betting on yourself or not? So again, it's not even so much to like flex on other people. It's like, no, I'm not there, but I'm going to be. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I'm doing everything in my power to get from A to Z.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the message that really comes through like throughout your work, throughout all your works, honestly, is the message of like, hey, this was the hand I was dealt. It's not the best of hands.
Yeah.
But I'm not settling with that.
Exactly.
Like, I'm making myself into something from where I was put in this position, and I'm making myself greater.
Exactly.
And that message it pierces through all your work from Sinner Child to like even this one, Personality. It like really comes across that, that I'm humble, but at the same time, like I'm ambitious. Like I'm gonna make things better.
Exactly.
So that two sides to it is really like cool that like there's a balance here between not forgetting where you came from, but then like knowing where you're going. Like that's ill to me.
Thank you, man.
And the project Sinner Child, I think, is definitely it's a classic album.
Thank you.
In my opinion, I think that's a flawless album as well. I think that every track there is like it hits on something that's like meaningful and like relatable. Yeah. And you have different tracks for all different people. Starting with Sinner Child is your intro track. You're dealing with like your inner child and how you're meant for greater things. Like you know it in your mind, but it's like your surroundings might not say it, but you know it. And so you're like, you're fighting against other opinions. Yeah. And that's really dope. I think you said something like inner sinner child. Look, I know that you've been through it. The heart you used to have, I know they broke it and bruised it. And then later on you say every single person that was talking with doubt, now you're the center of attention while they're stuck in the crowd.
Yes, sir.
Always about the dream, never about the profit. But these people never wanted you to win if they could stop it. Mm-hmm. Take it back to basics where the heart was fundamental. Was never accidental the way I pinned these instrumentals, painting paint into these verses, profit off of sentimental.
Yes, sir.
That was a crazy rhyme right there. That was like towards the end. Yeah. I picked up on that. I was like, oh, what's this scheme right here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Can you just talk about this, coming to make that album, Sinner Child? Like, where were you in the place of making this album here? So
with the essence of Sinner Child, and this had to go with finding the moniker personal. Talked about that in a lot of interviews. So I'm going to do I'm not going to do the long story
this will
short.
be a lot of first-time people hearing you.
Yeah. So, but, now that this is also a new platform, I'm not going to, like, long story short it. So I was working at a construction yard. One dude was talking a lot of shit, and I like to have the last word, especially back then. Like, I had a little bit of a temper, and I was a little hot-headed, so I was like, nah, fuck you. You want to talk shit? I'm going to go for the jugular, bitch. So I said some shit, and then I just hear one dude in the back. He actually commented on the video from The Empire. His name's Tony Montana, and he was also an artist on the side from work, so we kind of bonded over that. And so Tony Montana goes, yo, why do you got to make everything so personal? I was like, hold up. Could you say that again for me? And I liked the way that it sounded. So I went back to like a little piece of paper in my office where I was working at, and I was like, J. Cole featuring personal, Eminem featuring personal, Logic featuring personal. I was like, okay, I could see that on a marquee, but how do I want to spell it? Like, what does this name mean to me? And that's how I came up with the spelling, PERSINAL, everything capitalized except the I, to bring attention to the word sin and personal, to showcase I'm a sinner, I'm human, I'm not perfect, I'm going to fuck up. I'm constantly working to be better, and, I try to always err on, good morals, good ethics, good values, but I'm not always going to be perfect. And that's what the name meant for me. But it also meant, like, hey, if you want to get personal, I can talk some shit, so.
You mentioned something like, I could get petty too, or somewhere in the lyrics, somewhere in there. I've heard that.
Oh, that was in Death Before Dishonor, the part where.
I remember hearing something like that.
I've been ready. Let's get petty. Yeah. So, but with the name Personal, fast forward a couple years, Diesel and I have already built our friendship and working relationship. And I had released IE Coldest 2, didn't have an album planned after that. Actually, that's false. I had 2 albums that got sidetracked. I was working on 97 Legend, which was just a collection of all just hard-hitting bangers that I'd kept in my back pocket, and Letters to You. That's actually, I got it tattooed right there.
Oh, damn.
And that was an R&B exclusive album. And I had a small, like, 6-song EP called Midnight Sins that kind of was like gonna segue into Letters to You. And I was like, okay, I like the vibe. I like, that it can be sexy, it can be a little raunchy, but it can also be intimate, sentimental. And then I was sitting down with Diesel, and Diesel goes, word for word, your name is fucking personal. Don't be afraid to get personal. And he was like, but what he told me, he was like, why don't you try to make an album that you kind of go in between first and third person, but not speaking on behalf of being a victim? Like, talk about what you've been through, talk about your struggles, but how did you overcome them? What message are you going to give people that may be going through something similar or even the same exact things? Like, what advice would you give to them? And I was like, okay, that's a good concept. And then he gave me the name of the album, and he's like, instead of Inner Child, call it Sinner Child. Dude, after that conversation, I went home and I had like 85% of the album written and recorded within the first week, because it just inspired that creative flow. Right. Where I was like, boom, 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 talking about my upbringing as a child.
No wonder why it's so special, dude, because you could tell it's one of those special ones,
Yeah, exactly.
You have a great discography, but this one's just like, for some reason, it's different.
And so what also made it special, in my opinion, was it's not as well produced as Personality, but you can hear the jump in production value from IE Coldest to Sinner Child. Like, just that instant segue of vocal clarity, the mixing and mastering with the vocals to the instrumental, and then I really perfected it for Personality. Yeah. But also what made Sinner Child, in my opinion, so special was how raw and open I was as a person. Because it wasn't just, I'm talking about things that I've been through. I talked about things I fucked up in. I talked about drinking and driving accident I had been in when I was 18. I talked about how I was, unfaithful in relationships when I was in my late teens. I talked about how I fucked up in relationships by being too emotionally closed off. I talked about the love that I had always wanted to try to find that I couldn't, and, you know, personal situations that I've been through and how I allowed it to put me into a spiral of self-destructive behaviors. So this wasn't.
I think. Sorry to interrupt you, but I feel like Tainted really got there. Like Tainted was the one where I was.
Ooh,
like,
yeah, Tainted is.
Oh, that one's heavy. But you did, like, okay, because and I can speak from this coming from an artist myself, you know, and writing some tracks almost in a similar vein. It's hard to write something like this, and I say that because when you write something like emotional, that's you know, probably for those like going through it, depression and all this stuff, like it's hard to write it. Conveying the message, like there's a light at the end of this. Yeah. It's hard to get there, but you did it in a masterful way. I think like this track is really like that. It's a really good track.
No, so Tainted and Disconnection
are
the two heaviest songs on
Or maybe
that album.
I was talking about Disconnection. Yeah, I think I meant Disconnection.
Because Disconnection's the one that talks about suicide.
Yes.
And it has my best friend's voicemail at the end of the song.
Yeah, dude, that was like such a twist at the end of it. Like as far as like if it wasn't for my friend, and then adding the voicemail like was just an extra touch of like us getting an idea of like, oh, this is what he sounds like. This is what and he sounded like such like, hey, yo, where you at? You gotta be here. Like, it really puts you back on ground, you know.
You know, the reason that song was, honestly, that song was hard to write.
Yeah.
That song was incredibly hard because, you know, who I am as a person, and I've admitted this, that I'm a very emotional person. You know, I try to keep myself cool, calm, and composed at all times. I try to always regulate what I'm projecting to the world, but privately, you know, when I'm behind closed doors, I have been able to get to a place where I allow myself to feel my emotions. But allowing myself to feel those comes with having to process the negative. And so when I have to put myself back into the mindset that I was in to be able to write authentically, I went through a bad, you know, state of depression for like 3 weeks after writing that song because I had to put myself back into those feelings.
And that's the thing about, you know, that's a good point. Yeah. Like writing these type of tracks, in order to really go there, you have to kind of go there.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Know, that's the thing about that.
Yeah. But his voicemail, and that was a true story. So
was the voicemail a real, like, was that this real voicemail that he left you, or
that was that was the voicemail.
That was the voicemail.
Yeah. Okay. So at the time, and I'm not going to go into why, because it has to go about talking about another person.
Yeah, and you don't have to do all that. Yeah.
But you know, at this point, I had popped open a bottle of medication, took like 7 to 10 pills, and I had a knife, and I was in the bathtub. And I was like, I'm gonna just fucking, like, I can't do life anymore. I can't.
Yeah.
And he called me. And if it had been anyone else, other than maybe my mom or dad, but if it had been anyone else other than the three of them, I wouldn't have taken the time to listen. And so I ignored his call. And then I see that he left a voicemail. So I'm out of it because the medication's still in my system. And I listen to I listen to that voicemail. And then it brings me back to planet Earth. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? So I, you know, kind of gross and TMI, but I got myself to the toilet, forced myself to throw up, got everything out of my system.
Wow, dude.
You know, I took the knife, I fucking threw it. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing? What am I doing? And so when I told my best friend, he was so upset with me, dog.
When you told him this story?
Yeah, he was upset. And he was like, how could you, in that moment, he's like, I love you. How could you have been so selfish? Do you realize how many people would feel the loss of your presence? And I was like, fuck, like, shit. I didn't even think about that at the time. So fast forward, you know, creating Sinner Child, and I called him and I was like, are you okay with me using this voicemail to really encompass the feeling that I was going through?
And see, that's the thing, is I didn't know whether this was the real voicemail or not, but even if it wasn't, like it's a good touch because then it makes me understand like how it really would have like
played out.
Yeah, how I would have heard it. And being in that mind state and hearing that, because his voice just sounded joyous. Like, hey, where you at,
well,
man?
because he had told me the night before, he's like, hey, we're supposed to be at the gym. And so the morning of, what I was about to do, and that's what the voicemail talks. And he says a word that I can't say because I'm melanin deficient, whatever. He's not. He's, the epitome of black excellence. But he goes, what's good, N-word? I'm heading to the gym at 10, bitch, so you better be here at 10 or 11 or 12. One of the three.
Damn.
Yes, sir. Bye. Because that's just how we talk to each other. We're fucking nerds, so we do like different voices and shit. And so I was like, again, just in that moment, it brought me back, and I was like, who am I letting down right now?
This was more than just storytelling, because I mean, the way you write it really brings us there, understanding the emotions, because other people have, and I've been through depression myself, so that's why it was relatable, because I'm hearing this, I'm like, dude, I understand, like I get those feelings, like, and I think it was just masterful how you got there and delivered that in a track.
Thank you, man.
Like on this album, and it also like shows that this is more than just an album. Like this is something that's meaningful for people that are going through the same thing. There's a track for this. You know what I mean? Like that's heavy. That's dope. That's dope, dude. And it's not like I said, it's hard to write stuff like this. Yeah. That was a great light at the end of the tunnel, the way you executed that.
Thank you, man.
It was just like a beautiful thing to hear that voicemail at the end of it. Yeah. It was like, it was crazy, dude. Like, it was really crazy.
And I appreciate that because, the reason that I write those kind of songs too, because, I mean, that's the first one where I've touched on suicide. Yeah. But I've had plenty of tracks that talk about depression, anxiety, ADHD, insomnia, because these are all things that I struggle with. And ultimately, I wanted to be an advocate and a voice for the people who have not found their voice yet. Just to know, because I know what it's like to feel like no matter who you have surrounding you, you still feel alone. And it's not because the people around you aren't doing what they need to do. It's just sometimes your mind becomes your own worst enemy. And you start feeling like, okay, no one understands what I'm going through. Who can I talk to about this? Not fully understanding that the people who love you will always take the time to listen. And even if they can't relate, they're going to do everything in their power to make sure you're okay. But the brain plays a trick on you that, oh, I'm just a burden. I can't talk about this to them because they're not going to understand. Or, what if they're going through their own things and they don't have time or space for me? And I wanted to be able to capture that element and say, anyone else who's going through this, you will never be truly alone. And if you are, and with the concept of disconnection, if you're thinking about doing that, that is a permanent solution to temporary problems. Let me say that again. That is a permanent solution to temporary problems because we get so caught up in the negatives. It's just ingrained in our human wiring to want instant gratifications of positive, but be so prone to focusing on the negatives that maybe you don't see that light, but the light is always there.
Damn, dude. Yeah. And then to just move forward, you went on to create the track Motivate. Yeah. So cool, dude, because we're like, here we are now, like motivation now. Like it was such an arc. Like you took us through this arc now. Yeah. Like boom, here we are now. We're up. Like we're it's like you're just back on top now.
Yeah, and
I love that.
That was also, and I'm so glad you brought that up because that was what I was trying to capture in Sinner Child. And funny enough, personality, if you listen to the message behind personality goes more into the specifics of my personality traits during all of these situations, but these were the situations I was going through. So it's almost like two albums of the same story from different perspectives. Wow. So with Sinner Child, it's like, this is what I went through as a kid. And that's what the whole entirety of the first half of the album is about. things I went through as a child that I should not have witnessed or gone through, decisions I was allowing myself to make that, again, putting myself in a self-destructive spiral. 2, okay, my inner child I've reconnected with. My inner child has forgiven the adult version of myself for the mistakes that I've made. Here's how I'm overcoming all these obstacles that I went through. And that was, again, for anyone who was listening, that could see, again, that light at the end of the tunnel. Like, even with the songs about the depression, anxiety, suicidal awareness, I tried to implement a light at the end of the tunnel at the end of the song, but I also wanted that to be the highlight of the end of the album. So kind of like the roller coaster effect. Like, here's the downward spiral, and here, it gets a little bit difficult and it gets slow, but you do rise up again. And that was the whole,
Yeah, dude, it was a great to put that after. It was like, okay, we're on top now, and then showing that you're like still dealing with these things, like with like your own struggles of like alcohol and Adderall. Like, you're still working all this stuff out.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a complete night and day, like, thing. There was still things that took time to heal.
Yeah, definitely.
So like, I love how you were working through all that, and then working through the love relationships, and kind of like very introspective. Between love and lust, like, you were talking about like kind of how you approached it before. Like, you had a girl, but then you had more room at the table, just in case, and that is also relatable too, because like, you're trying to pick the right one here, but you still sometimes want to have some other on the playing field still, but then you're like kind of figuring out, okay, well, when do I man up and choose love and choose trust and choose those things?
Well, and so just to backtrack on that a little bit, with love and lust, it wasn't so much like, oh, I have a girl, but I want to have some left in the playing field. The ideology between love and lust was, even when I have someone in my life, and that's what the artwork behind Sinner Child, and that's what I have tattooed here actually, and it has the 4 sins. These are symbols of the 4 sins that I've struggled with, and one is lust, one is pride, one is wrath, and one is greed. So in the concept of lust, I had someone that, not someone, just, multiple situations throughout my life where I'm like, okay, like, I want to find love and I'm not finding it in this person. And Diesel's giving me a lot of shit about this, because he's like, man, you sound like you're complaining. But, I was going through situations with women where it was like, I wanted to be in love, but I couldn't. But I was getting treated like a boy toy, which really fucked up my understanding of love and what, as a man, should I be okay and not okay with? Like, what are even my boundaries as a man? And I had to encompass that in love and lust, like finally saying, like, look, I understand that I'm a man, and, it's almost taboo to admit, as a man, I have emotions, I have feelings, I have boundaries that people are constantly crossing, but I have to put up with it because I'm a man. So all I have left is the lust that comes with it, because if that's all I'm being treated as, at least I'm going to be able to enjoy that. But having so much love that I want to give, that I feel like I'm not safe enough to give. And that was love, lust. Yeah. There was a lot behind that song.
That's a crazy battle, though.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And Take Me is kind of like building off of that, I feel like, because it's also talking about relationships as well. With kind of building that, I think, up.
Yeah. Well, and so with Take Me too, with honestly a lot of the song, and people aren't going to know most of these songs because it's on the Letters to You album that I was talking about that's not released. But songs like Take Me, which is released, Love Letters is released, IDKY, which is I Don't Know Why, Million Miles, like these are all aspects of me speaking from a perspective of love that I've always romanticized and that I've always pictured for myself, but haven't found yet. And so again, going into the concept of the braggadocious songs, meaning I'm speaking this to the universe because this is where I want to be. Those songs are also, this is the type of love that I want to find. And so I'll pull inspiration for those type of songs from, smaller situations that I had been through, which more often than not had been overly romanticized for the sake of the poetry. Relationships I'd see my friends go through, or my mom and dad's marriage. And I would pull all of those elements together to create these songs and be like, okay, here's how I want to talk about this, and here's what I want to find. And this is the goal. How do I get there? Let me speak this. This is the type of love I want with the type of partner that I want. I haven't found that partner yet, but I will.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's funny the way that life works, but I'm gonna stay private on that. But
so that's ill, man. That's ill, because, and like you said, man, you have these tracks about all different types of different things, and that's what's cool about your discography. It's like there's something for everybody in here. It's like that's what's dope about it. Like there's a little something for everybody. I did want to touch. I kind of missed this one. I did want to touch on Tainted though. Tainted was another one that you really went into a place that, I mean, your moniker, but I mean, like you really brought out something, and like I feel like was real, and it was vulnerable. It was, poetic, emotional.
Yeah.
There was even there's a story aspect to this. Even, you're telling your story. You know. And it tells a lot about like who you are as a person and what you come from and how you're viewing things as a young man, growing up. And you can really feel it. It's really heart wrenching. Can you just talk a little bit about that track and just making that and creating that track? Like, why did you feel like you had to tell that story? But
I've never been asked about that song before. So Tainted talks about my sperm donor. I never met the dude, and he had passed away in 2008, and I found out on my birthday in 2009 and how he passed away. And for respect of the families involved, I'm not going to go into the details, but what he did was he damaged a lot of families involved. And I had never met the guy, but I shared his name, and I was still to this day, his spitting fucking image.
Wow.
And I had to carry those demons with me from a very young age. And
these are just through pictures you saw, you just realized it,
there's no denying the what's the word I'm looking for?
The characteristic traits, or what,
there's no denying who fathered me. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Like there's no room for doubt anywhere.
Yeah.
And when I talk about my dad and how close I am with my dad, that's the man that my mom met when I was 3. Like that's my pops through and through.
That's amazing.
And I love that man to absolute death. You know what I mean? But I still had to carry the demons with me of what the man whose name I share and the face I share did to the world and did to families. I know that's super vague and kind of like, the fuck is he referencing?
No, it's okay.
But again, just out of respect for the families that were involved. But it threw me for a loop. Like it's a big part of the reason I started going by Anthony, my middle name, when I was 17, because I wanted that separation from fuck him. I'm not going to be him. I had to do a lot of shadow work into my jealousy and my unfiltered anger. This is a big part of the reason I allow myself to feel and process my emotions in a healthy way so that they don't build and build and build and build until I do something I can't take back. It's a big part of the reason I don't get angry like I used to. Like, yeah, like I still get irritated and frustrated with situations, but it's very difficult to bring me to a place of anger because of all the work that I had done previously. And I wanted to showcase that, and that's why in the song it talks about, like there's a portion where it basically talks about envisioning me at his grave saying, fuck you. Not to disrespect the dead, but you don't deserve respect, and I will make sure the man that I am is the man my dad raised me to be. The father I become will be the father that my dad was to me. I will never be like you. And it that was a very hard song. Because I had to be honest about a lot. Not that I had to, because, you know, no one like held a gun to my head and said, make this fucking song. But, you know, in the essence of Sinner Child and being raw and open and vulnerable, I was like, you know, I'm not being 100% authentic to myself if I don't talk about this. But it's also the reason why that song was also very short. Like, it had the hook, one verse and hook. And I could have done a second verse. I could have elaborated more, but it was putting me in such a bad state of mind that I'm like, you know what? I've said all I think I am able to say at this point in my life. But for the first time, it's not the first song I've made about it, but the other songs are as dark and, you know, heavy as Tainted is. The other songs that I made are even darker. And I was like, I don't want to put those out. Like, that's my therapy. I listen to those for my therapy. This was the first song about that situation that I've ever released. And I was like, you know what? That's all I can do at this point in my life. Like, maybe when I become older and wiser, I can find more words to speak on this. But right now, like, that is good enough for right now. And yeah, it was another situation for like 3 weeks. I was in a fucked up mood. I was constantly getting irritated with everyone around me, and I was like, just give me my fucking space. I don't want to fucking talk to no one. And then finally, like, I came back to my old cheery self. One day I just walked into work. I was like, hey guys, I'm good now. Back to Anthony, we're good.
Well, that's what I love about your artwork, man, is because, like, you know, you're able to take us into these real stories, you know, of your background,
yeah,
and being able to be vulnerable about it, which is very relatable. Not a lot of artists are willing to go vulnerable.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So, like, the fact that you do, it's appreciated, and it's honestly huge, probably, for a lot of people that are going through that. To touch on those things, to let them know they're not alone.
Exactly.
You know? So that's also huge too. But I think it's cool because not only do you have that, but then you'll have these, you know, inspirational tracks, the club bangers, like, yeah. You know, it's like it's cool because, like, you take us right back to having fun too.
Exactly.
And it shows that you're not overcome by this, but that you're overcoming it, which is cool.
Oh, I like the way you put that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really dope.
Well, and it's funny, too, because another reason why I kind of do the ups and downs on an album was advice from Diesel, actually. He's like, if you want a good body of work, it needs to be an emotional roller coaster. Show them that you can bring them here, right back to up here, then down all the way here, right back to up here. Like, hit them with those emotional punches, right, you know, and take them through that whole journey, but keep it an emotional roller coaster to keep it, what's the word? Like when you're listening to something, auditory.
Okay.
Or auditorily. I don't know if that's a word. If that's not a word, I'm coining it. To keep it auditorily entertaining. Meaning the ears don't get tired because they're hearing the same thing over and over. each song needs to have a different element that keeps the listener's attention.
I like that. Piece of diesel for these little tips.
Exactly.
And you for executing them too.
Thank you, man.
Because you execute. It's not easy to execute this stuff, and you did it, dude. So yeah, peace to you on that. Yeah, there's a lot of different stuff. We listened through your album Personality, which is the more recent one, and yeah, you could definitely tell the jump in production, the polished like feel to this one compared to the other ones, which is amazing. Just shows the growth and like you growing. You also talked about mixing and mastering yourself, so that's also cool.
Well, and so the thought process behind that was because at the time, like I didn't have a whole lot of connections. And I didn't have a lot of money at the time. So I was like, okay, well, fuck it. If I can't afford to go to a studio, I'm going to spend what little money I have on an in-home studio and take the time to teach myself how to do it. Yeah. And so, but in of itself, it has been a gift and a curse because I've had multiple conversations with Tangent about this. Because Tangent has told me, and he's, validated that I'm respected in the community, but he's like, I feel like you would have been more deeply rooted or it would have happened faster if you were collaborating with, people who run their own studios or, i.e. beat producers and all that kind of stuff. But I got so used to relying on myself that like I'm at a point, not that I don't feel comfortable going to those people, but I am in a sense of how much I love the creative process. I feel like it would take the joy out of it for me to have someone else do it for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And so again, a gift and a curse because I do think he's right. I think I would have had a lot more connections a lot sooner had I branched out and been able to do this. But because I couldn't afford it at the time, I was like, well, fuck it. If I can't afford it, I'm going to cut out the middleman and do it myself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do agree with him that I should probably start working with, i.e. beat producers at some point eventually. But funny enough, all the projects that I do, every single song I've made is from like the same 5 producers I've found on YouTube that I work with. So it's not like I'm just pulling beats randomly. Like it's all the same 5 producers. It's 7 words beats. During the first 2 albums that I did, they've been deleted just because they have song content that I just don't believe in anymore. Kind of highlighting and encouraging self-destructive behavior, and I wanted to get away from that and really be a voice message advocate for it. So I deleted those albums. I was like, you know what, I know it would be good for people to see the growth, but I just don't want people to hear that and then get the wrong impression. I was like, that's not what I embody anymore. Right. I don't want that attached to me. But I had a producer by the name of Beats by Con, Will Alexander.
Shouts to them.
MK Beats, which does a lot of the R&B stuff that I make. That's where, like in the songs like Take Me, Love Letters, you hear MK, in the background. Fuck, I'll tell you right now.
And also, too, while you're looking that up, like piece of your cadences, because you're able to go melodic, too. I mean, not only can you spit, be real technical, but then you can also be melodic. You could slow it down, which is also cool, as well as speed it up. That takes another level of skill to have as well.
Oh, the other 2, real quick, and I'll touch all the other 3 that I've used throughout multiple projects. Download Beats, H3 Music, and I just saw a beat from him. Where'd it go? Deathbringer. DEF. Not death. Not death. And we're deaf. You hit this once, you can't hear shit. Shout out Cat Williams. Stupid. Sorry, that was an ADHD moment. I'm sorry. No, but so 5 usual producers I go to, and then there are like another 3 or 4 that I'll bounce randomly from, and I'll hit them up, be like, hey, do you have any beats that no one's used, or that, like how much are you selling it for? Are you leasing it? What's going on? And honestly, because of the relationship I've built with a lot of them, and I've never even met any of them in person, but just because I've constantly used their material, they're just like, hey, bro, have the beat and put me on the royalties. I'm like, okay. Because they know it's not like I'm making like thousands and thousands and thousands from this anyway. Yeah. But if I got to that point, they know who I'm working with. If I make it to that level, I'm like, hey, I'm still using you guys. Fuck the industry producers. I want you guys. You know what I mean? So kind of a blessing in disguise with that one.
That's dope. Yeah, it's dope. We got Personal in the building. Yeah, man, it's a pleasure to have you on this podcast, man. It's been a long time coming.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah,
especially just all the work you're doing, whether it's on or off the mic. It's like very instrumental to the scene out here, to the community. Like from your works and your content of like what you're producing and putting out is like really dope. And yeah, man, you got a fan out of me. But then at the same time, like what you're doing for everybody is like, it's amazing, dude. And that I hope, continues. And I hope that we get to collab more like in the future of doing stuff like that. For me, it was huge, man. Like, to have that opportunity to do an open mic, it's been such a long time.
Yeah.
And, that was like huge for me, like just to be able to get back on and then go back again and try to perfect it and get better.
Yeah.
Like that is for I'm sure for a lot of them, it was like amazing to get able to do that, to get off,
Well, and it's funny that you bring that up because the reason we were so adamant about having an open mic portion and running the open mic competition, which for the two that have made it to the finals, we have not forgotten about you. We have not forgotten. Nice. Diesel and I, again, we actually just had a phone call today where we're planning to get back into this. We're still working out some details, but we are going to finalize that competition. But the reason we wanted to have the open mic competition and have the open mic segment is because that's where Diesel and I both started. Differentiation of time apart. Yeah. Undisclosed because Diesel's only 35 and I'm 18, and we're going to leave it there. But that's the element we both came from, and we understand what it's like to, want to be on a marquee or do the bigger and better events, but really allowing yourself to open up, maybe as an artist that's been out of the game for a while, or you're first starting out and you don't have much of a platform.
Yeah.
So you have someone providing a platform for those individuals, and we wanted to maintain that sincerity for the artists that felt like, okay, where can I go? Or maybe you have new song material that you kind of want to just test out. You don't want to take it to a full-blown venue yet because you want to see the crowd interaction, or maybe you have song material that you've never really talked about before. So you're like, okay, before I even release this on streaming platforms, how is it going to be received? Like, we were taking all of those different trains of thought into account and saying, okay, that's why we need to have an open mic portion. And to make it more lucrative, that's why we were having the open mic competition, to really encourage new artists or artists that haven't stepped out in a while. Come to us. We're going to give you this platform. And honestly, huge shout outs to Diesel, because I agree with the sentiment, and I always have, but he really was the biggest voice behind it. So shout out to him. Yeah. I don't want to take credit for that portion of his contribution, because he was the one that really hammered down. And I'm not going to lie, from a business standpoint, I was like, let's just focus on the event for right now. He's like, no, open mic. And I was like, okay, open mic. Okay, open mic. So yeah.
Yeah. Appreciate both of you guys on that, man. Yeah. And it was a pleasure working with you guys and getting to meet you guys. And, like I said, I hope, we keep doing more for the community. I would love to, tell the story through media alongside you guys, and really give a voice to those artists that are, like you said, like coming out for the first time, or it's been a while, or, just like a lot of people don't get to hear their stories,
Exactly.
And that's what brings you in. Once you hear the story, it's like, what was their music? Like, let's hear their music now.
I'm so glad that you said that, because that's been one of my biggest things for the artists that I follow individually, that if I can like them as a person, it makes me connect with their music so much more. Yeah. And that's why I love platforms like you provide, because this is our chance outside of performances to show people, you know, I'm also just human. Like, I'm not just trying to be famous. I'm not also just trying to be, I just want to be a rapper. Like, I'm human with my own emotions, with my own struggles, with my own triumphs, my own likes and dislikes and hobbies and interests, that I feel like once people get to hear how it's like behind the curtain, they get to connect with us on, no pun intended, a more personal level. And that's why I love these kind of interviews. Yeah. Because, you know, you get to separate the artist from the person. Yeah.
How many times do you run into that, no pun intended, with your name?
It started with Diesel. Dude, I have so many like origin stories that start because of or with Diesel, because he was always the one who's all, not to be personal, no pun intended, or hey, getting a little personal, no pun intended. And so it just stuck with me, and now I do that shit without even realizing it. It's just part of my day-to-day vocabulary. I'll even be at work, because all my coworkers know that I make music. I'll be like, hey, you know, this is a little personal, no pun intended. I'm like, oh, god damn it.
I was thinking about that because I think we've said, I think your name in a punded way, like at least 4 or 5 times. At least. At least.
Well, and see, but and that's what I loved about that name too, because it's so easily remembered because of that. Right. As soon as you bring up the no pun intended and you get people to laugh about it a little bit, they're like, personal, no pun intended, personal, and it just sticks. Yeah. So I'm like, there were so many reasons why I was so happy I went with that name.
Yeah, it's a dope name.
Yeah, dude. It was just, man.
Yeah, it's a dope name. For everybody that's listening, make sure that you check out the music that we were just talking about. Personal, man. That dude is going in lyrically. Like, there's just all these like nerdy references, which is also cool. We didn't even get into that. Yeah, a lot of nerdy references. I think there was one where you said, you know, I'm shooting off like Jesse James, and that went over my head when I first listened to it.
On GC Freestyle with Mercutio X. Ooh. Shout out Mercutio X, by the way. That man is a fucking rock star. And for anyone who knows me, you know I am never shy to give shout outs to the people that I respect in this industry. You know, I'm constantly bringing up Diesel, Mercutio X, Cam Archer, Cam Gnarly, Noah James, even singers like Aries K. She's amazing. Rain Basu, amazing. But so taking it back to GC Freestyle, that little line was, but look at how it's paying off, late night staying up, mastering a craft, now we're Jesse James blasting off.
And I was like, wait, is that from Pokemon? He's like, yeah. I was like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Because it was just like, I haven't heard the name in a while. So I was like, Jesse James.
Yeah,
and then I remember that. I was like, "Oh, that's crazy."
Yeah, and then I have the line on TVL, the chilling on a Nimbus like Goku. I'm up in Cloud 9, Super Saiyan 5. No power level will top mine. Back up in the grind, and I'm treating it like it's crunch time. Yeah. And so I'm glad that you brought that up, because I think we touched base on this before we started filming the video. Yeah. But you know, you have a whole subgenre of hip hop dedicated to nerdcore, which is, you know, very cool, especially for those of us who grew up on anime, comics, TV shows, superheroes, you know, whatever the case is. And I was definitely one of those kids, but I prefer to just slide like a couple of references into a song that's still like a banger. Yeah. So I can showcase, hey, I got a little nerdy side to me, but you're still going to bump this fucking song regardless if you're a nerd or not, because not everyone can relate. Or, you know, you do have some people that, you know, might like those things, but they're not so deeply rooted into it that if I made a whole song, they're going to listen to the first couple lines and turn it off. Yeah. I know you're listening to this whole fucking song.
And you're going to hear this reference.
Exactly.
Whether you get it or not.
Exactly. Yes. But for the ones who do get it, they're like, hey. And I'm like, hey. You know, so.
Yeah, that's super dope, dude. Yeah. I love that. And I do that myself in my own works. I'll nestle in some, no pun intended for Nestle. But I'll nestle
I figured that's what you're doing. Hey, you're doing the no pun intended. I see you.
I'll nestle that in there. But yeah, peace, man. That's really dope. You guys got to check out his work. Where can they actually like get the album at, personal, for those like looking to support you or wanting to buy that?
Honestly, and I know that there are a lot of DIYers right now that are keeping their music on platforms where you have to, go support the artist. I'm at a point where I've been blessed with my work that, you know, would I like to make money off of music? Of course, but, I'm comfortable with where I'm at financially in life that you don't need to pay to support the music. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on Apple. You can find it on YouTube for free. I just appreciate the people who actively take the time to go listen. You don't need to buy my album. If you want to pay for the album, I think you can buy the album on Apple, but you can also listen to it for free as well.
Well, I'm going to advocate it for you since
you're
humble and letting everybody off the hook.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like, support this guy, support artists in general. Like, if you're a fan of their work, give it a listen.
Yeah.
If you like it and you're going to rock with it, put it in your playlist and all that, then support, because artists are getting so like mistreated in streaming these days, mistreated in the industry. Like,
and that is true.
We have to support in any way we can.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. Let me be an advocate for the artists as well, because we do have a lot of people that want to make their living off of this, so much so that they quit their day jobs to be able to do this. And don't get me wrong,
you probably quit your day job too if you could do it like in that way. Off of music? If you can live off of music?
Oh, no. If I could live off my music, 100%, I would quit the day job. But my thing is, and, there's a spark of debate about this. And if anyone wants to say, I don't want it that bad, because I would not necessarily do that because I believe in myself that much. Like, bro, I still need my day job. Fuck all you. If you want to say I don't want it that bad just for the sake I won't quit my day job, fuck all of you. Like, respectfully. But, to the people that have that inner strength and confidence to do that shit, that would scare the living shit out of me, dude. I don't think I have it in me to say, you know what? I know that I'm so dope that I'm going to quit my job tomorrow and just take all of my savings and dump it into this. I'm like, yo, do you know the kind of bills I got? I'm like, ooh, shit. But I am planning this year, again, because I have been blessed. Thank you to my job, because my job actually promoted me in March. Thank you. That I have a little more fluidity of where I can allocate my funds to. So I do eventually want to get started back on being a little more active on social media, and paying to get music videos done, actual music videos, to have more content, to be able to boost post on posts. Like, I'm going to post from this interview so I could boost the posts and really try to pave my way to new listeners and old listeners who maybe forgot about me a little bit, and trying to bring them back as well, because ever since Personality, I think I released Bad Guy, which is going to be one of the songs on, I haven't decided if I want it on IE Coldest 3, which is kind of a little secret project that I've been working on. That's the song that I have with Cam Archer, The Monster I Became, is going to be on that album. And I want that album to be primarily collaborative within Inland Empire artists. So when I made the first album, I.e. Coldest 1, but that was one of the albums that I deleted because I was advocating for certain messages that I don't advocate for anymore. So I did take that off, but I had like 2 or 3 features on that one. I took it to like 4 or 5 features for I.E. Coldest 2. I had King Dope, Quincy Jones Go, Diesel, Jai Milk, and Mercutio X. So yeah, I had 5 features on that one. The next one, I want almost every single song to have an artist from the IE that I can also showcase on my platform.
It's crazy.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like not that, because some of the artists that I'm going to have on the album have bigger platforms than I do, but maybe my platform doesn't know about them yet.
Right.
That I could also be like, hey, I know y'all listen to me, but you should hear this other motherfucker too. Like, this dude gas. Or you should listen to this woman. She can sing or rap her ass off. You know, like, I want to be able to showcase other people through my platform as well. And that was the mindset that I wanted to take. And I think I might only have like 1 or 2 songs that are my singles. But the rest, I want just power-packed lineup on that album.
That's dope.
Yeah. So I'm for sure having Merc on it again. I'm going to have him on a different song. I'm getting Sonny Babel on there. I'm getting Diesel. I want Tangent on there. I already have the song with Cam. I just have to make a couple of tweaks to it. I'm thinking about, and this is kind of a cheat code, but taking the song that I did with King Dope on the first album, or the IE Coldest 2, called Triggered, remastering it and putting that on the album as well, so I can showcase, because that song, I feel like the mixing and mastering didn't do it justice. So I want to remaster that and release that on IE Coldest 3, and a couple of other artists that I kind of have my sights set on. I just don't want to jinx it, so I don't want to speak on their names too soon. But yeah, no, I'm excited for that one for sure.
That's fire, dude.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it here first. So like when you, we'll have to bring you back again too to talk about, you know, some more stuff, because we didn't get to everything. But
my fault, man. I tend to overtalk.
No, it's good. It's a good thing, because like we have more to talk about when you come back and all that stuff. So that would be dope to have you back on. So yeah, support Personal. If you're feeling the music, if you're vibing with it, you know, support your artist. So definitely do that. Of course, we're dropping episodes every Monday. We're on our road to 5K. We're really trying to do something here that's special. And for those who believe in it, thank you guys for following, for sharing. All of it means a lot. And if you have an album that you want us to cover or break down, please recommend it. Of course, if you guys are looking for your album to be broken down, you know what to do. Like, send us an email. We'll send you what the cost will be to do that. But we're gonna go all in. Tell your story, break down your lyrics, do all that. So stay tuned for the next drop. We got some good classics coming up. I think the next one is gonna be Outkast. We're breaking down Stankonia. Yeah, it's gonna be a sick one.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Peace out. Deuces.